Here's the reality. Most people can't clearly describe this. Maybe they can in one domain of their lives, how they want their health to look, or how they want their family to look, or how they want their business to look. But they don't have all of the aspects that are important to them. Now, I do believe this is individual. I have a hobby called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you may not have a hobby. I think we all should have hobbies. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but you may have a different area. I'm on the journey of getting a black belt, and it really is exciting to be a part of something and to grow and expand. And it hasn't been easy. It's been 16 years. I continue to do this because I want to master this thing that I set out to do 16 years ago. So why do I say this is important? It's really because most people can't answer it. And I find if you can't answer it, you can't set the direction for the others around you. And so you really want to look at the vision that you're creating.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Well, this is a special episode of Grow Think Tank where it's just me and my computer going to share some insights about how CEOs plan for next year. I just ran 2 workshops with probably about 20 people total, where we just talked about how are Inc. 5000 CEOs looking at next year? How are they planning for next year? And really some good insights out of it. And I'm going to share some of those insights with you today and hopefully give you some insights that you didn't have. I find that a lot of the things that I hear over and over because of my work and my dedication to helping CEOs move the needle, that I hear about these things probably a lot more often than others. And I think that everyone's hearing them, but I guess they're not. So I'm going to share some of those distinctions with you today. Let me start this off too with how we serve, because I really want you to make sure this is very clear to you. There's 2 ways in which we primarily serve our clients. One is through executive coaching, and it has really been the core of our business. I've been doing this for 10 years. I ran a fast growth company. So I was the CEO of that kind of pace of growth that my clients are, experiencing. But I work with them kind of in different ways. Sometimes I work with just the founders. Sometimes it's, CEOs or the executive teams, but it's private coaching. I don't do group programs. I don't do, these things that are out there. I think they're great in some cases, but my clients want to talk about what's really going in their business. They want to talk about some of the personal issues that they're struggling with. Maybe it's some patience issues or anxiety that they're feeling. And we actually help them through the tools that I've done. I've helped them truly transform their business from the inside out, meaning their own understanding of themselves and the reflection that it takes for you to grow and evolve beyond where you are today. If you're just a tactical leader, you're just scratching the surface. If you're just strategic, you're just scratching the surface as well. I take you to exceptional leadership, what that really means. We'll unpack that today. So that's the first way I serve. The second way I serve is through leadership development. We have a program called Leadership On-Ramp. It's 8 weeks where we take managers and turn them into leaders. And that is an incredible opportunity if you have people that are high performers or new to management, or they just lack those foundational skills. In 8 weeks, we walk them through that with private coaching, with the right training that's proven, with frameworks, with interactive sessions that allow them to truly use what we're teaching them so that they come out being truly one step closer to being stronger leaders. And we also support them after the fact. We've worked with some teams for a year plus and helping them grow as leaders. And that is how we serve in leadership development. If you're interested in either of those, make sure you reach out to us at genehammett.com. Now, I'm going to just check off my screen here because I really want you guys to see along with me what's going on. And I got to get the screens up. Here we are. And I'm going to present. This is a version of the same thing I ran for Inc. 5000 clients and people that have done the podcast before. I'm not going to share the names of those people because this, it was confidential, but we're looking at some of the different areas. And what they have in common is many of them are on the Inc. 5000 or the Inc. Best Places to Work. That's where we typically focus on for the guest of the show, but all have been on the Grow Think Tank podcast, which is what you're listening to here. why did they come to this conversation and why are you here? Well, hopefully it's because you want to be an exceptional leader and it can be your company's secret weapon. I had one gentleman that talked about the importance of leadership, and he's got a very different perspective. He's got 1,000 employees. He's got the gray hair more than me. I just got a little gray in my beard, but he is looking back on his career and growth and scale of his company. And he's like, leadership is everything. That's the exact quote. He explained what he meant by that and how important it is for leaders to develop other leaders and for them to care for and support and guide where necessary and coach. And that was really the primary job that he is in right now as he's reached the chairman role of his business. And he shared some of these insights. Others, responded to the same thing. Like, leadership is critical, not only for you, but for others around you. So that's the reason why you're here. I know this may seem like a commercial break, but every once in a while we are able to get together with a group of Inc. 5000 leaders. If you are on the Inc. 5000 and if you want to gather with others to see what's going on, we can do that in Atlanta at the Porsche test track. We do 2 days of leadership development, growth and expansion, and then we take some time out to race 911s around the track. You actually get to drive the car, but that's in March 9th and 10th of this year. If you're having to listen to this after the fact, we actually do this a couple of times a year. And so you can actually reach out to us, gene@genehammett.com, to see when the next one is. I'm not going to talk about SMART goals or be overly strategic today. I think they're important to have SMART goals, right? It's a framework that we're probably all very familiar with, but we're going beyond that. We're looking at some of the bigger things that are going out there. My job is to help you look at things from a different perspective. And as we go through this, it will help you. Here's the big question. What do you want in 2023? I ask this to everyone. Here's the reality. Most people can't clearly describe this. Maybe they can in one domain of their lives, how they want their health to look, or how they want their family to look, or how they want their business to look, but they don't have all of the aspects that are important to them. Now, I do believe this is individual. I have a hobby called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you may not have a hobby. I think we all should have hobbies. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but you may have a different area. I'm on the journey of getting a black belt, and it really is exciting to be a part of something and to grow and expand. And it hasn't been easy. It's been 16 years. I continue to do this because I want to master this thing that I set out to do 16 years ago. So why do I say this is important? It's really because most people can't answer it. And I find if you can't answer it, you can't set the direction for the others around you. And so you really want to look at the vision that you're creating. 3 years out is typically what we use because it's just far enough out for you to really understand what the future will look like 3 years from now. But you want to get really clear about what this year looks like. And you want to be even more clear about what Q1 looks like and the projects that fit into that. And there's a lot of science-backed reasons for this, but what do you want next year? That's where we started. Here's a quick tool. I'm going to give you these slides because if you want to use them, you can actually, use this to your advantage. But, in your business, where do you need to focus? Well, there's 5 areas in here. You could throw in a couple other areas if you wanted to, operations or partnerships, whatever fits your business. But the idea is for you to map out where you're epic, where you're strong, where you're okay or average, where you need improvement, and what's critical in your business. And it's okay that if you might have a couple of these things that need improvement, and that's the reason for it. Just looking at it will give you a quick view of where to focus for the next year and for the next quarter, because this isn't one of those things where if you just focus on the strengths, the things that you're doing well, that everything else will work out. It's not true. If you're not focused on people development, you will lag in the ability to retain the talent, even attract talent, and you will lag in their performance overall in the company. And so if you are, if you need improvement there or it's critical, you don't have those systems inside your business, you want to make sure that that's a priority for this next year. Same thing with client success and financials and sales and marketing. So use this chart as you want. The next chart I'm going to give you is your time chart. I walk some of my clients through this. The big categories are impact time, which is really about the time at which you're doing the most valuable work that only you can do. This could be strategic partnerships. This could be raising money. This could be anything. And a lot of times I find if you're too far in the weeds of your business, you don't have much impact time. Visionary time is really about how much time do you spend with others to paint the picture of what the vision or the future of the business will look like? How much time do you spend getting alignment, communicating this over and over and over? Leadership time is how much time do you spend one-on-one with people or in small groups, truly helping them grow as individuals? Family time should be self-explanatory, but if you're lacking here, it really is something that you're going to feel this, down the road. It may not be this year, it may not be next year, but my son's 15. We only have one kid in our family, and my wife and I talk often about, how do we make sure that he remembers the time we have before he goes to college as something that was epic. And this past year, we went for a month vacation, and it was just a life-changing experience. We spent a ton of money, but also we had something that can never be taken away from us is that experience. And so family time, very important to me. I think it should be important to all our leaders. Personal time. This could be your working out time, the time for you to relax. It could be to unplug. Do you have enough of it? If you're doing well here, great. It should be an area that you focus on if it needs improvement or it's critical. Free days are defined as the time you have where you're not working. Could be family time, it could be personal time, but it really is just looking at the free days you have. I think Dan Sullivan is one of the people who made this very popular. He's been on the podcast before, but you want to be able to track how many days you have completely unplugged from the business. I believe CEOs should have more free time so that they come back really recharged. They come back really fresh after the weekends, or they take off Fridays, or they're taking off more and more time, giving others the chance to make decisions and empower them. You don't have to be at every meeting. It might be news, but it's true. All right, let's dive into the real heart of this. Categories. What categories do you think about with your whole life goals? What we're trying to get here is not just setting goals, but what categories are important to you. So I use this little chart to break it up. Professional or personal, you may look at it differently. And I know one of the people in the workshop the other day said, I add another column here, high level, which is family goals, which he puts his wife and kids inside there, and a lot of the details of that. You can break it up any way you want to. The point is be intentional. Look at these things as big categories. Have a goal in each one of them. And if you have too many goals, you're actually not going to do so well. You probably know this by now. But if you have one main goal that really helps everyone, then you will be able to set your boundaries and really guide your life the way you want to. Some of the things we hear about here inside Professional are, of course, revenue goals and team goals and culture goals, or they may have new product or raising money. Whatever the professional categories are for you, you want to make sure you document them. Personal goals can be things like your health, can be your sleep, can be your hobbies, it can be your stress, however you're measuring and interacting with that. And then finally, if you do have a third column for family goals, you want to be intentional about those as well. So that's the point of this piece. We often forget about leadership skills. I bring this up because if your professional's goals don't have how you're going to grow as a leader, then you're going to show up every day and you're going to just execute. And it may work for you. And if it does, great. But my hope is, and I know with my clients, we actually outline specific skills that they want to improve as leaders. It may be communication. It may be their ability to get alignment. Maybe it's their ability to coach people. We get really granular to this, and hopefully you will too. I use this to see where they are in my client work. And so I'm going to share with you 4 leadership levels. And the idea is for you to identify where you are. If you're looking at the screen along with me, then at the bottom of this is anti-leader. That really just clearly is, you're a micromanager. You're leading through authority or fear. And that really isn't leadership. It might work short term, but it doesn't work long term. It doesn't create the kind of culture you want. As we rise up this set of triangles, transactional leaders is the person who's focused on what do I need to do? A lot of leaders are in different spaces of time and how they use their time. And they're like, I'm in so many meetings. I'm in the business, not on the business. Those are the things that they say. And they're focused on their to-do list. And in fact, they get value from what they're doing every day, and they wonder if they're doing enough. If others think that they're doing enough, because those things are very visible. The things that you do, the output you have. One of my clients the other day was talking about how he still runs the AR report and does the quarterly tax filings for the company, even though it's over 10 million. It's probably not the best use of his time. If he's got people around him, he shouldn't be worried about those tax filings. It should be a system inside the business that is handled. Could he be strategic about this? Yeah, absolutely. He could. That's his role, or should be. Next level up is strategic leader, which is really about how to get things done. How are we going to navigate through different challenges? How do we make it through this economy over this next year? You're probably thinking about that. And you may spend some time in each one of these triangles. But my hope is you really think about, what does it take to be an exceptional leader, which means you're really focused on the people side of the business. You're focused on how they're growing and evolving, what their experience is as an employee, how committed are they, how aligned are they to what we're doing, how adaptable. There's lots of things that we can do to look at this exceptional leadership, but it really is about the people. Strategy is about how, the transactional leader is about the what we do, the tactics, and the anti-leader really is based on fear, and you want to try to stay away from that. All right. Another tool that I use inside my work that I'm sharing with you is this leadership performance audit, which really is, where are the gaps inside your business? From a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Here's the 6 dials. Vision really is about the 3-year view of your business. Do you have it? Is it clearly communicated with people? If not, then you want to give yourself an appropriate rating here. Your alignment, which means, are people bought in? Are people truly understand what the priorities are and how they show up every day? Or do you have to keep reminding them? I'm not saying you shouldn't keep reminding them, but is this a requirement for you inside the business? Because it does get old if you're having to always say the same things to the same person. But you want to keep alignment moving. And the third one here is communication. We know that leadership requires you to be able to communicate effectively. It changes over time. When you get to 20 employees, it's going to be different than when you were 7. And when you get to 50 employees, there's another inflection point there. When you get to 100, there's things that have to change in the way you communicate. I also find that a lot of leaders aren't very present. And so they're sending a signal, leading by example, of you don't have to be present when people are talking to you. And I think that's a really big mistake. Accountability. How accountable is the team? Do you have to harp on people over and over and over? Do you have structures in place, scorecards, metrics? Do you have the right frequency of meetings, the cadence and rhythm of those meetings? Really important for accountability. Or is it something place that's lacking? Ownership. Do people feel like they're owners inside their project roles? Are they taking ownership of the process, the goals, the challenges? There's many different ways to look at that. I've actually spoken about this in some of my paid speeches many times about the 6 elements of ownership. Yes, there's 6 in both, but adaptation really this is huge. Your ability for your culture and your people to adapt to change. This next year is expected to be hard for most people. I don't want to feed into it because we're expecting it to be a breakout year for us. But we also know that we have to be adaptable. You have to be willing to change and innovate. Are you ready for that? And finally, in the categories, health and hobbies, I'm going to just tell you how I think, and a lot of the CEOs are really in alignment with this, is we put our health on the back burner sometimes at the service of our goals or service or even our family sometimes. But health has got to be the number one. We had so many stories of people who wished they had focused on their health earlier, or now that there's some serious issues, health is a really important piece. My personal take on this is you want to be proactive with your health. You want to get the blood work. You want to get the right functional medicine is what I'm going to see a functional medicine doctor probably every quarter, to just assess where I am. And I'm taking a lot of supplements and I'm trying to assess my gut health and my overall factors. And we found some issues. It's actually working. I feel like it's helping me. And it really is. I'm losing a little bit of weight, and it's really giving me the focus of making some changes. I like hard data, so I am getting that blood test stuff. It's not just an anecdotal kind of thing and feel like you might be able to lose some weight. We actually got some tests. I think health is extremely important. I also believe that people should have hobbies. CEOs that don't have a hobby of maybe a creative outlet, or maybe it's something that you're doing, to learn a new skill. I'm learning Spanish and I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I spend a lot more time at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than I do my Spanish, and it shows. It's very hard to learn a language at this age, but I just, I do believe we should have the right kind of balance in what we're doing. And then what are your sleep goals? Looking at the data of the people who showed up, averaging about 7 hours, maybe 6.5 hours a night. Some people are really challenged with their sleep. Some people sleep really well. Most CEOs trying to get 7, 8. I really think that the days of I can operate on 4 hours of sleep and that badge of honor, that really isn't that cool anymore. People really do appreciate sleep. I know I do. I know it helps me recharge my body, reduce my stress. It helps me perform better. And my family doesn't get what's left over. They get all of me because I'm really focused on this. And then we talked about time, freedom, your free days. I have a good friend of mine who takes off Fridays. He calls them Epic Fridays. Shout out to Jason Swank. And he does something really cool every Friday. I can think about him on every Friday. I'm wondering what he's doing. Is he climbing a mountain? Is he going skiing? Is he, racing his car? Whatever it may be. He's doing something outside the office, and he really does take that time for himself. And if that's an area that you want to grow in, then you want to be intentional about that. Life balance. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but here's the thing. Most of the CEOs said balance to them is not really possible, that they really think that they have to look at how to be off balance on purpose. And I agree with this. Dan Thurman is a guy who's been on the podcast before. He's a friend of mine, professional speaker, wrote a book about this. And the book is great. But what you really have to understand from this concept is there's, cycles in life where we need to focus on certain things. And I did this recently with my family. It's like, look, there's some things I want to do this next year in the business, specifically leadership on ramp, and how we're scaling that, and how we're getting the building an audience around, turning managers into leaders. And I need to focus on that heavily over this next quarter. And I wanted to get their buy-in because I'm probably going to be a little off balance, but I'm laying the foundation for something big. And you want to look at in your life, where is being off balance okay? Because if there's guilt that comes along with your balance, and you're trying to keep everything perfectly in balance, it's very stressful. It's a very huge mental load. So I believe we're going to be off balance on purpose. That means on my days off, I'm going to be focused on being off, or being with my family, or being there for myself, and not worried about the other things that are going on, the things that aren't getting done yet. A lot of people talk about personal and professional integration, and I think this is a huge topic. I keep these things sort of separate, but yet I really love what I'm doing. I love the work I'm doing. It really is my life's calling, and I can work a lot around doing that when I need to. Now, the beautiful part is my business runs very well, and so I don't have to, but I love the concept. You have to make the decision for yourself about personal and professional integration. And you have to really understand what this means for your team members. If you're asking them to give late hours, if you're asking them to really give up some of their family time, be mindful of those asks, and be intentional about this, and just understand what's going on. What tools do we use inside of planning for next year? I use some very old school tools. I've tried some apps. I've tried some things like that. Other people are using apps. They're using Whoops for sleep tracking and tracking their fitness and recovery. And I've got a Whoop strap, and I've used a little bit of that. I forgot to wear it last night, or else I'll tell you my sleep. I actually slept really good last night. I think it was probably 8 hours. But what tools are they using? Well, I'm going to share with you the tools I'm using inside my business, and it will help you. One of them is the Subtract tool. It's very simple, old school. It's what do you need to stop doing? What do you need to remove? And you want to be really careful about this, because it's really tempting to add more. If you're trying to create a new goal, you want to add more to your life. Well, be mindful of what you need to stop doing in order to get there. To go along with that, very simple framework here is what do you need to keep doing, start doing, and stop doing. Give you an example of how to use this. Inside culture, we need to look at things that we need to keep doing, start doing, and stop doing. And so having a conversation with clients today, they need to keep doing their monthly all hands meetings. They need to keep doing yearly retreats. They need to keep doing one-on-ones with direct reports. They need to start doing is maybe doing some surveys with people and really figure out where they are. just 1 or 2 question surveys once a month will really help you give insight to it. We need to start analyzing that and really seeing how we can make an impact. What are the things we need to stop doing? We need to stop blaming people. We need to stop, whatever it is that may be doing. You want to clearly document those. And that's the reason I give you this simple tool. Even more simple is for you to pull out a piece of paper instead of doing the to-do list, which are probably very common to do. Many of the CEOs that were in this, the Inc. 5000, said this was news to them, that you can have a no list, the things that you're not going to do. Here's the very simple explanation of this. As you evolve, there are things that you used to do that you should no longer do. And the closer you get to the core 3 things that are your strengths and your really the most important aspect of your business, and you stay true to that. For me, it's coaching, it's enrolling coaching clients, and then it's also the content that I create and really doing that at the next level. Now, am I going to edit my videos? Nope, don't do that anymore. I don't even have the software on my computer. Am I going to, put up social media posts? Nope. I might create content, but someone else actually makes it look pretty and puts it up in the right place. So there's a no list for the things, and it changes over time. What's on your no list? I give you this simplest tool out there. What habits align to your goals? I really believe that there's some leading indicators to the things that we want in life. One of my big goals this year was my health. And so I tracked how often I worked out. The blue lines that you see in this represent my weights and cardio workouts, and didn't count how many I've done it this year. But I know my personal development time is another thing I track, is the green. I set a goal to do 250. Right now it is the 23rd of December. I'm recording this and I've done 245. I am just a few days away from having 250. I will hit that goal. I won't hit the number of date nights. I was hoping to have 52. I didn't count up the hearts, but it was nowhere near 52. Me and my wife had a good start. If you look in January and February, there was lots of hearts. March was pretty good. And then it started to get slow. Part of it's because we went on a vacation with my son, and it was hard to have date nights with my son when we were away for a month. So that was, June and July were not many dates. But all this to be said, what habits are you tracking? This is a full year calendar. I've probably had 5 of these. I've got another one just sitting around ready to go for next year, because I really like being able to see it. It's right over my monitor here that I'm looking at you at. And it really is good for me to see the consistency I have in things that matter to me. What are your habits that you want to track? And how are you doing this efficiently? It's old school. I don't have an app for it because I find this works better for me. I want to visually see it, and I want to see the activity as it goes through the year. And the simplest tool of all is making sure you answer this question. If you have a goal, it's so that you can do what? An example in my life, maybe I want to be in the best shape of my life. And I have talked about, hitting a certain weight and a measurement around my gut. And really, this is all centered on, talking to my doctors, but it's so that I have health, so that I'm energized throughout the day, so that I can show up at my best for my clients, for my team, for my family, so that I truly can sleep well, so that I can do this. So you have different levels of this, so that, or whys, if you will. That really is a great tool to deepen your commitment towards something. Now, reflection, I could spend all day on this. We could do a whole conversation on this, but how do you reflect on the past year? Are you looking at the past year? Are you looking at the things that you have done well and the things that you can learn from? Well, here's a few questions. Carly is on my team. She came up with these questions. I'm going to give them to you. There's 7 questions in here. If you haven't got the slides, they'll be listed on this podcast page, and you can get and download them absolutely free. You don't need a login or anything like that. I'm just going to give them to you. But these 7 questions will help you. I will read them. What went well this year? Why? What was better than expected? Number 3, what did I learn? Number 4, what am I most proud of? Number 5, where was the best place I spent my time? Number 6, what habit or system helped me? Number 7, what people had the most impact on me? Simple questions. I call this part 1. This is all the good stuff. And part 2 is not the bad stuff, but the lessons. And these 7 questions, just a little bit different, sound the same, but what didn't go as well this year and why? Number two, what did I learn? Number three, what did I expect to accomplish but didn't? Number four, what are the least valuable ways I spend my time? That's a big one. Number five, how can I make my environment more supportive of my goals? Number six, what relationships would I like to work on? And number seven, how is your health and stress levels? Anything you'd like to support more? Those are great questions. Another way to look at this too, Carly came up with these questions as well, is month by month. It's just asking yourself, what went well this month and why? What am I most proud of? What's my biggest learning experience? If you did that month to month, I think it would give you some insight. And finally, we're going to go through one tool I use inside of a reflection process that you can use with, I use this with my clients, but label your emotional and physiological growth. That really is about you deciding how you're going to grow. And we're going to unpack that inside this deepen the resolve. So what belief do you have that gets in your way of success? I know this is one of those coaching questions. You're not really quite sure what I'm asking, but think about this for a second. You've evolved to where you are now, and you've probably grown through some tough times. Imagine the beliefs that you used to have that were keeping you from that. I remember doing these workshops. One person said to me over the summer, we were talking about delegating to people and why he didn't do it. He goes, well, I have a young team and I just thought that they weren't capable of doing this kind of work and they didn't have the experience of it. So I just held on it to myself. And it really was difficult for us to grow. I became the bottleneck of the business. That happens quite often. And then he comes back and said, I decided to look at my mindset of this, my beliefs around it. And he shifted it and he labeled it this. I believe that people are awesome. And if he believes that people are awesome and he has this new project to give to someone and he gives it to them and trusts them and supports them and guides them, he was very pleasantly surprised. And I asked him specifically, he's like, people are just awesome. They're smarter than I thought. They were able to figure things out. And that has helped me. And we have grown because of this, shifting the beliefs. If you can't list where your beliefs have shifted in the past, how are you expected to have them shift in the future? You've got to be able to put them into words. Another way to look at this is the future you. The future you is different than you are now. You have evolved to get to this point. I know I have, but you want to be able to answer this question. Who do you need to be to receive your goals? This question is very important to me because I don't attain my goals. I receive them based on who I have been, right? Michael Phelps did not get, 20 something plus gold medals because he was just good. It's because he was consistent. He was dedicated. He was a beast, if you will. His way of being was preceded the receipt of those goals, those gold medals. And so you want to make sure you can document in words, who are you being to receive the goals that you want? I know this sounds hard, but I walk people through this. I guide them through it, but I'm giving it to you in case you wanted to do this yourself and you never want to hire me. If you want support, happy to support you. The tool I use is this T chart where I am looking at personal traits. Who are you being today and who are you becoming? One of my clients shared with me this. I won't share his name, but he said, before I started working with you, I used to have panic attacks. And I go, what do you mean by panic attacks? He goes, just think of high anxiety. And I said, did it happen once or more than once? He goes, well, it was really over a 2-week period. Black Friday was a huge thing for their business. They sell a lot of products on Black Friday. So he would get these panic attacks. And so he was being riddled with anxiety. Now, the work that we did this past year was improving that and really getting him to connect with this in a different way and really being more patient. And really what he said was, I feel at peace. So instead of being anxious, I feel at peace is a much different place to lead from. And that's the idea, is being able to put in words, who are you being and who are you becoming? I had another client one time that was talking to me about, getting to $4 million. They were pretty confident to get there. So they're being confident. But in order for them to get to 10 million and to make some big moves and hire more people and invest more money into the business and really go after the right kinds of clients as they expand, he needed to become unshakable confidence in himself. Unshakable confident really was a way of becoming. And for him to see when he wasn't being unshakable, he could, once you put it in words, you can see where you're out of alignment or out of integrity. And that's some of the core work I do with my clients. If you want to do this on your own, take it and run with it. I've done some other video episodes around this. Reach out to me. I can send you some of those things if you'd rather do it on yourself, or if you want me to help you do these things and help you really unpack this and make the most of it, happy to do that as well. Just go to genehammett.com, schedule your call. Let's do it. Just a reminder, we've got this 2-day leadership experience in Atlanta at the Porsche Test Track. It's March 9th and 10th. We will do others. If you missed this and for some reason you're listening to this after the fact, if you are interested in this, reach out to me or my team. You can send an email to gene@genehammett.com. You can use the URL schedulewithgene.com, whichever works for you. Just want to talk to you about what's going on in your business. See if you're fit for this. We've already got, I think, 5 of the spots filled. So we only have a few left because we keep these very intimate, 8 or 10 people. So we'd love to have you. If you're interested, just make sure you reach out soon so that we can get you on that list. That's our take today. We've been talking about how to plan for next year. The real key to this is for you to be intentional about not just your business, but about your whole life, the health, your sleep, the things that are really important to you. Maybe it's your family and the relationships there. Because what I don't want you to do is have a ton of money and look back and say, you know what, I don't have people to share it with. I don't have the purpose that I really feel like it. I get a lot of clients that come to me because they're like, you know what, I should be happier. I have all of this. I've obtained this incredible level of success and money, but I don't have everything. Now, I'm not a life coach per se. I really do focus on the business, but there are some things that are bleed into this around the relationships they have and even their health. And those are things that we touch on because I believe it's the whole person. If you want to perform at a higher level, I'm here to help you. So that's a long solo episode, but I wanted to give you this. If you are not getting the slides, go to genehammett.com, find this episode. You'll be able to download the slides. I will make them available with no login whatsoever. Just click the link. It's just much easier for me. But if there's any way I can serve you and your team as an executive coach or through leadership development, as we talked about earlier, make sure you reach out. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.